Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So what I want to talk about today a little bit is stress and anxiety. And I put some videos out about that and how you remove that from your teammates. But just individual, one-on-one, and between people, stress and anxiety cause a lot of problems. And in our life, we do a lot to add to that stress and anxiety. And in recent years, there's been some things that it seems worse. It's because it is. It's because social media and things of that nature allow and promote a lot of this, right? So you think about the left and right and red and blue and all that noise around politicians. And politicians, for example, you'll have one party. If another party's politician is elected, you watch those people and they think it's the end of the world. When you look at the country's history, however, the presidents haven't made a very huge impact. Okay, so it's not been something like that. I think especially in America, the most evil form of government on the planet is our Congress. It is our government, where there's no term limits. These people get extraordinarily wealthy while they're supposed to be serving the people of this country, and they act like they're powerful people and forget that we actually gave them the power to do what they do. Their power is generated and cultivated from the Constitution, which is a law made by us, the people. So for them to get up and speak down on high like they're better than people is a joke. But here's the other thing I would say about that real quick, and I'm not going to really get off on a government rant. That's not what I'm trying to do. But think about this. What does an 80 some odd year old person know about what you go through daily? Right? What are these dinosaurs doing that's representative of the people they're supposed to represent, right? I don't care if you're right or left wing. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't really care. The point is that is a cancer on not only this country but the globe. So term limitations is something that should be set on everything. I think one term is probably significant and sufficient. I don't think two terms is necessary for anything, including the president. Also, the fact that we pay these people after they're out of the job, whether they serve one term or a lifetime in these roles, is awful. It's theft, and it's not the way that was set up. It's not the way it's supposed to do. The expectation of our federal government is that when someone's elected, once they live their term and go through their term, that they will go back to society as a civilian, with the expectation is they have to make a living as a civilian. So basically, when they're in that role, the expectation is they're going to be taking care of civilians because they once again will be one. Well, that's not what we do anymore. Now these people think they're royalty, they get security, and they get payment for the rest of their life, which is actually, it's bull. It's nonsense. But that's really a tangent that I didn't want to go too far on. I want to talk more about the stress and the anxiety that comes from dealing with politics, dealing with people, dealing with the extreme things that we go through, and call out some of the points to tell you. One, don't worry, right? The old saying, don't worry, be happy. That seems like it's ridiculous, but here's the point. Your thought processes are what you make and what you choose. So working in an environment where stress and there's always a deadline, there's always a flip out, there's always some new emergency every single day, you're not going to sustain team in that environment. But worse than that, you're not going to sustain mental calmness where you can actually perform to the top of your ability. And as a leader, if you can't perform to the top of your ability, what do you think that's doing to the people that are your subordinates that report to you, if you're not able to remove that stress and anxiety for them? So number one, you got to enhance your calm. So I'll tell you what works for me, and this is all my opinion. This is what works for me, but it's worked for many people for thousands of years. And I say that because of this. I get my inspiration a lot from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. It's a book that's been studied for nearly 1,900 years, if not 2,000 years. And then the King James Version of the Holy Bible. Use the King James Version because it's the most direct translation. If you go back to the Bible that was written in 1611 that came from the original transcripts, that one, with use of the Strong's Concordance, is the most accurate translation. And people are going to have opinions about that. Let me just go ahead and say I don't care about those opinions. That's how I see it, and that's how most people that are studied in the Bible see it. So the reason I mentioned that is the more direct your translation is, the more accurate you have of an understanding of how it was written and what was said. And since I do think the Bible is the Word of God, and it is, word for word what we're supposed to do and true, since I believe that, I'm a biblical Christian, then the translation being accurate is extremely important, because I'm treating like that as the book of law for me. but here's why I go down that path. So I use those two for inspiration to help give me calm, and I'll tell you why here. So I use verses that I read from that, and basically what they say together in different ways is there's nothing new under the sun. So why stress it all? It's all been done before. What one generation does, the next generation will be forced to repeat. I mentioned a quote earlier, either here or on a different venue, that it was a great quote. It said, if one learned anything from history, it would be that we learned nothing from history. So it was a great quote. I'll use it as a thumbnail at some point, I'm sure. But when you look at this, if you go to Ecclesiastes 1, verse 9 through 11, here's what that says. This is King James Version, of course, Ecclesiastes 1, verse 9 through 11. It says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun." That's verse 9. Verse 10 says, "Is there anything where of it may be said, See, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us." So that means it was done before. "There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of the things that are to come with those to come after." So basically, everything that's been done will be forgotten, and everything that's going to be done will be forgotten. Nothing new under the sun. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. So if it has a defect, it can't be counted as a whole. "For much is wisdom, much is grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow." Meaning, the more you know, the sadder you are, the more grief you have. So basically, nothing new under the sun that came out of Ecclesiastes. But here's Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, and this is a book that's been studied, across the world as well. And one's a Christian document, and the other is not. It's a secular document, both of which have been studied for generations, hundreds of years, centuries, millennia, both of them. Okay, so that's thousands of years. So everything has always been the same and keeps reoccurring. It makes no difference whether you see the same things reoccur in 100 years, 200 years, or an infinite period. That's Meditations. "Human lives are brief and trivial. Your own worth is measured by what we donate our energy to. Look at the past, the future is the same thing, which is why obsessing is not necessary. Observing life for 40 years is as good as observing life for 1,000 years. Would you really see anything new? Any man beyond the age of 40 is forced to see repetition. What comes from dust returns to dust." So that's two different contexts, two different books, two different schools of thought, both secular and Christian, that go to show you that there is nothing new under the sun. What has happened will happen. Nothing's going to change. Now, does that impact our daily lives? Of course, our daily lives change and are extremely important to us, and the things that we're going through are extremely severe because we're the ones living through it. But if you think back to generations prior that dealt with slavery, that dealt with depressions, that dealt with colonization, that dealt with revolution, that dealt with all of these different things, we all have these generations of extreme, right? And unfortunately, the process of being human means we're going to go back through them again. So what one generation has done, the next will forget, and what the next generation will do will also be forgotten. So nothing new under the sun. I hope this is useful to you and slightly inspirational. I know it's different from the standard context of what I do with business and leadership, but the channel is it is around all wisdom, not just leadership and business and those things. I speak to the situations that I feel comfortable speaking to. And as we increase the breadth of the channel, we'll increase some of those subjects and the subject matter we talk about. I'll talk a lot about books that inspire me and that I read that teach me something. I try to learn something every single day. And those are two that I draw a lot from every single year. So hopefully if this is of use to you, please like, please share, and please subscribe. Please share the channel to folks that you think might be interested. We're trying to grow the channel this year. And I appreciate your attention and your support. Be good.